Jimmy. Jim, Jimmy. Jim, James, son!
Well, that's right. It's time for another one. And this one came to me for $500. It's a 2005 Chevy Cobalt RS. Yes, it's an RS. I don't think that means absolutely jack squat, but in this case, it's supposed to mean rally sport. It has okay tires. The paint is basically all missing until you get to the hood, which is a completely different color from the rest of the car. The grille is completely bashed in, minus a hubcap. Bumper is also kind of mismatched, and on this wonderful side, we have a chunk just missing out of the bumper. So, oh, and the front is also quite crispy, and there's just that, and there's a gap. But that's not even the half of it, right? It has current registration and inspection somehow. Who the hell knows how? And the interior is not that bad, actually. Supposedly, it doesn't start. Hey, look at that. Cranky crank windows. I didn't even notice that. So, we're going to try, I guess right now, to give it a start. Let's see what it wants to do. I have the key right here. The seat does not adjust, and the person who was in this car before was a midget, so I don't know if that's politically correct, but they were a short person, okay? Short person. So, go ahead and try to start this thing real quick. Let's turn that down. Huh. So much for not starting. And it really sounded bad when it did start, that's for sure. But, started right up. So, alrighty then. I'm gonna go make my way under the hood. See what we got brewing under there. Now that we're under the hood, you can see that I've given it a quick visual inspection, and nothing appears to be too horribly wrong. It's got coolant in the proper spot. The oil is proper. I do have this plastic cover. It's actually in the trunk. And everything looks normal. So the next thing I'm going to do, because it's a Chevy Cobalt and I've dealt with this a few dozen times, take this cover off here and inspect the throttle body plate, you know, the butterfly valve, and we're also going to remove the mass airflow sensor and clean it with the appropriate cleaner. Can't tell you how many Cobalts have come to me with a P0171, and this is the culprit. A little Hitachi sensor right here. So, coming up next. So I don't know if you can see that right there, but those are the little diodes inside the mass airflow sensor. I removed it from right here, just unplugged it, and undid the two screws, the two Phillips head screws. Gave a little spray with the mass airflow sensor cleaner over there, and it cleaned up real nice. I'm going to let it dry for a little bit, and I'll put it back in. Then we can take a look at this throttle body. There's the air snorkel off now. Look at that nice air filter. That's a nice air filter. Somebody just changed that. Ooh, they didn't bother to take the leaves out, though. Come on.
Oh, come on.
Come on, man. Anyway, look at that throttle body, too. Real nasty. For these throttle bodies, you got to unbolt them, unplug them. Well, you want to unplug them before you unbolt them. And then very carefully clean these out, because this is an electronic throttle body and you don't want to damage the sensitive plastic gears that are inside this housing. So let's take that off. This is probably the most adorable throttle body I have ever seen. There's no coolant bypass hoses, there's no drive-by-wire system, there's nothing. It's just a little thing. You can see how nasty dirty this thing is, so definitely going to need a spray down. Well, there's the throttle body all cleaned up. You can see I did the top and the bottom. It's pretty clean, clean enough for a Chevy Cobalt. Go ahead and stick this back on, but first I'm going to clean off this little gasket. Now while that's back together, the throttle body's been cleaned and the mass airflow sensor was cleaned, we come over here to the fuse box. Now I've already inspected the fuse box ahead of time, and I can tell you there are no blown fuses, surprisingly, but it is a Chevrolet and GMs are famous for just popping fuses left and right. Luckily for me that's not the case, so this thing checks out. Well, to be fair, I can't really tell if it's running any better because it's a Chevy Cobalt and they all kind of run like crap. So, it sounds nice. I don't hear any misfires. Let's go check the tailpipe. Nope. Sounds perfect, actually. Well, hopefully that took care of the problem. The problem was a hard start or a no start condition, which is what the seller told me. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. Let's go ahead and get that in focus. Alright. Put the key back in and see if it wants to start. Oh yeah, it starts right up. Huh. Yeah, it didn't do that before. It would kind of get kind of angry and the idle would drop real low. Let's see what happens when I turn the AC on, because that was a problem I had yesterday. AC blows ice cold in this thing. I mean ice freaking cold. It's nice. Yeah, see, yesterday when I would turn the AC on, the idle would kind of, you know, all over the place. So that clearly has stopped. Turn that off. It's got a nice radio in here. I really like that radio. I don't like those roll-up windows at all, but I do like that radio. Same thing I have in my van. But now that the vehicle is running better and sounding a little better, we can move on to slightly more pressing issues. Now, this thing is cosmetically challenged as they come. Well, sorry about that, my camera died, but as you can see, since the camera died, I have managed to clean up some of the interior challenges of the car. It doesn't look anywhere near as ugly now. It smells a lot better too. When you sit down in here, you get a real sense that it's actually a real car. I took those nasty-ass seat covers off and was surprised to find super nice seats underneath. I also armor-alled the entire interior, cleaned up the headliner a little bit, lubricated the window tracks, etc., etc., and now it is just a much nicer place to be in here, as it was not before, that's for sure. So now that the interior has been nicely done, it's time to move on to other matters that the car needs repair. I think it needs a fuel filter, honestly, because I changed the throttle body and it kind of didn't, or at least I cleaned the throttle body, and it didn't help too much, so I'm going to move on to go getting a fuel filter and a few other small things. Now we're down here under the Cobalt, and one of my missions is to put a new fuel filter in this thing. Something tells me that this fuel filter is clogged. You can see that I've already removed the forward hose right here, right there, and I'm about to remove this hose, and I have the special fuel line disconnect tool for right there. I also have the new fuel filter right there. There is kind of no space under this car, especially for a 6-foot tall man, and you know, I'm banging into every sharp item I can, so there's not going to be too much filming of this. I'm going to get that second hose off, and then I'm going to take that line off, so I'll show you the filter afterwards. So there's the old fuel filter right there. There's the new one. You can see the new one is much nicer looking, and it even came with these new hose clamp fittings, which I don't need because the ones on the car are actually marvelous. This was surprisingly the easiest fuel filter I have ever taken out. I expected a lot more hassle from a Chevy, but you know, sometimes you're surprised. This is a 3/8 fitting on the end here, so if anyone needs that information, it's those little blue curvature ones. I don't know if you can even see it up there, but yeah, see that little blue thing over there? That is the 3/8 fitting. So that worked out. I'm gonna go ahead and shove this back in there and hope to God that the fuel problem is solved, because before you'd have to turn the key 2 or 3 times to get it to start properly. So here's hoping. Alright, well, the new fuel filter is in. I've already primed the car by turning the key 6 or 7 times. And we're going to see if it wants to start, because every time previously that the car would start, it would either idle lumpy or it would just start and then immediately die, and then you'd have to turn the key a few more times. So let's see if the fuel filter did anything at all. Hey! First start, look at that. That's nice. Almost never happens. Well, there you go. Fuel filter fixed the starting problem. That means mechanically this car is completely sorted now. And it only has about 146,000 miles on it. Let's see if we shut the door if it will tell us. 146,702 miles. It's only 9:30 in the morning right now, and it's already 89 degrees. Today is supposed to be 108 degrees. I'll put it right there. See that? 108. I have to work in this shit. It's ridiculous. But at least that solves the mechanical issues. And the very last thing now that we're going to move on to is this turn signal stock, because as you can see, it's hurting pretty bad, so let's move on. Finally, I have moved on to the blinker light housing. They sent us a new blinker light in the mail with this nice condom. Go ahead and unwrapify it. Gotta install it raw, if you know what I mean. And it's a slightly different color than the original, but you can see the original is a bit of a light gray, and this one's sort of a dark gray. But it's super easy to take this off. You just take off this little trim piece, unplug the 2 connectors here, and there's 2 little push tabs that hold this in, and then it just sort of pops out. When I was doing it, I busted it in half because, you know, that's life. You can see there's like a little push tab right here. So you should just be able to grab this and pull it. Not with one hand, obviously, but give me a second and I'll show you. Well, there's the new stock installed. That was literally like a 2-minute repair. Here is the shitty old one, completely busted in half and covered in electrical tape, which is the most inefficient of all tape, next to painter's tape. You can see the headlight works, high beams work. Yeah, high beams work. Everything seems to be just fine, so that takes care of that. Alright, I know I said I wasn't going to fix any more stuff after the blinker light, but there's always something. And you remember the driver's seat? This is underneath the driver's seat, and I don't know if you can see my finger. Let's try to get it in there. You see that little white piece right there? And there's a little black circle? That black peg should actually be about an inch higher and stuffed into that white piece, because this black bar here, when you push down on this lever, see how it actuates? Well, on the other side, this black circle is actually in that little hole there, because it moved over about, moved down about an inch and over about an inch. So I need to get a screwdriver and pull this up and reattach it into that hole, and that should allow the driver's seat to adjust back and forth. So let's give that a try. This is the bar that actually runs underneath the driver's seat, and I had to remove this and hit it with a sledgehammer because I don't know if you can see this, but this one's still slightly angled and this one is straight. Before, see how you can see through the two holes like that, like a gun sight? Before, the holes were off about that much. So this lever on this side was bent because this piece faces downward like this, and you pull up, and when you pull up, these two little things actuate two pieces of plastic, and that allows the rails to slide back and forth. So here's hoping this works. Alrighty, I reinstalled the bar down there, and just to show you, the seat now moves forward and backwards, and now I have some frickin' leg room. Thank goodness. The only thing that I did beyond fix the seat after I fixed the blinker light was these headlights. These headlights turned out to be just immaculate underneath, and I wanted them to shine real nice. For some reason, people like clean headlights, even though, the sun's just gonna bakeify it in like another 6 months. This one also came out pretty nice. This grill, I'm just not even gonna bother to replace because, $35 for a grill at the junkyard that's made of plastic and nobody's even gonna notice. So, oh well, at least we got that seat fixed. Oh, there's a Dodge Challenger, whatever, cat. There you go. How about that? We'll speed away. Ready? Damn. That thing actually gets up and goes pretty nice. I am impressed. So we're going down to the Quick Wash, whatever it's called. Quickie Mart. Didn't they cancel Apu or something like that because, it's too realistic. You can't have an Indian running a fucking convenience store like that. It's never happened before. The convenience store right here on our right, the 7-Eleven, is owned and operated by Indians. So, but whatever. That's the times they are changing, as what's his name with that horrible voice said. Not that I'm anyone to call out someone with a horrible voice. I'm Billy Corganing over here with all my rage in a cage. There's always someone I gotta wait for a U-turn around here. Look at this shit. Shall we scare everyone? Woo! Goddamn boy. That shit really does fly. Anyway, here we are. I'm gonna go ahead and wash the car now. So, I'll hit you guys up when I'm done. Alright, well I gave it a wash, and it looks a lot better, honestly. The paint is not gonna become unfaded by itself, but sounds like someone's having trouble. But I think it came out pretty nicely, honestly. Headlights look a lot better than they did. This bumper is still kind of crinkled on this side, but nothing you can do about that. Paint looks a lot better with a wash, though. Interior looks pretty nice. I think it's finished. Even the seats in the back I kind of scrubbed as best I could. So yeah, let's get home. Alright, well we're home now. The Cobalt is looking a little worse for wear. These things age really rapidly. They deteriorate quite quickly. I'm just messing with you. This non-rained stain is where the Cobalt was sitting once I got home. I got home, parked it here, and I got a call about 3 hours later from an elderly gentleman that I know, a customer of mine, saying, I'm looking for a car for my daughter. It doesn't have to be flamboyant. It doesn't have to be spectacular. Oh, look, there goes a kitty cat. It just has to run and drive and have air conditioning. Those are my 3 requirements. And I said, boy, if I got the car for you, my man, why don't you come on down here right now, and or meet me down at the lot, either one, and we can work out a deal. So he came down, looked at this wretched pile that was sitting here, and said, I think I'll take it. And he did, and it's gone. So I didn't even get to finish the Cobalt before it vanished into thin air. That's kind of a good thing, because the longer you keep a Chevy, the more liability it is. You know what I mean? Anywho, now you're probably wondering what this wretched thing is, and why it's got a tarpaulin over the window, and why it looks like I pulled it out of the Pacific Ocean. And you will get all of those answers and more in my next video. Basically, this thing came to me as kind of an accident and kind of a joke, so what can I say? I like cars, I like collecting them, I like buying them, I like selling them, I like taking them apart. It doesn't really matter as long as I can do something with cars in my hands. I like using my hands, you know? Anywho, so I hope you guys aren't too mad that I sold the Cobalts. You know, that's the name of the game, is to make money off these cars and, you know, get more of them for content. So I appreciate the watch, I appreciate the view, I appreciate if you would like it. I don't usually ask for that, but for some reason lately YouTube has been kind of hiding my channel. Gee, I wonder why. But I've been wondering a little bit myself, probably because of the nasty language and the epithets and all, epithets, whatever that word is and all that. But that's the way life is, you know. If you're not yourself, then you're somebody else, and I think I'd rather be myself in this situation. So the Cobalt is gone. This nasty Plymouth something Sundance has come in its place, and we will check it out in the next video. But thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.